everyone, Zachary Lui here from Toronto Qigong. Today I'd like to talk to you about the differences between Tai Chi and Qigong. And this is just a generally common question I find with most people. What's the differences between Tai Chi? What's the differences between Qigong? Are they the same thing? If they are, why is something called Tai Chi and why is something called Qigong? We're going to get all these issues out in this video, and there will be a brief video. Hopefully it sheds some light on the differences between Tai Chi and Qigong. So to start, Qigong is the parent of Tai Chi. Tai Chi is the child of Qigong. Qigong has been historically around China since its inception. Back in the day, it was called Dao Yin, and in more recent centuries, closer say 19th to where we are today in the 20th century, it's been called Qigong. For Tai Chi, it was from its earliest inception, from a legendary standpoint, 11th to 13th century. Historically, though, we can more or less date it back to the 17th or 18th century. Main differences between Qigong and Tai Chi. Well, first off, Qigong is the umbrella term for everything that will be working in Chinese culture. It includes a spiritual categorization, health categorization, and martial categorization. Tai Chi fits the bill for all three of those categorizations. However, it's mostly focused on martial first and foremost, though it has been recognized, depending who you go to, as a spiritual form, and it's also viewed generally publicly now as a health form. So with that stated, Qigong is a wider umbrella which Tai Chi can fit into. Now, let's get into what Tai Chi history is. Tai Chi Xuan, or the Supreme Ultimate Fist, containing its martial applications, started historically with 5 families. The first family was called the Chen family, and this would be called Chen style Tai Chi. It is generally viewed as slow and explosive, and it alternates between those two forms. From there was a person who learned off of the Chen family, and he designed his own style of Tai Chi called the Yang style of Tai Chi, which is more or less categorized by slow but mid to large frame movements that are fluid. This is the most common type of Tai Chi that you're going to see in the public these days. From here, we have another family come in, and this is called the Wu family, who learned off of the Yang style of Tai Chi. And very much like the Yang style, it is fluid and slow. However, its movements are generally much smaller, and you can even say microscopic. When you look at the practitioners of Wu style Tai Chi, it seems like they're not doing much, but they're actually moving many things at once in their own body, though externally it doesn't seem that there's much movement happening. From there, we can move into another style called the Hao style of Tai Chi, or another name for it would be Wu. Don't confuse Wu and Wu, because they're totally different family names and characters in Chinese. And that's a less known style of Tai Chi. And then finally we have something called the Sun style of Tai Chi, which is off of a combination of Tai Chi and other internal martial arts such as Bagua Zhang, or 8 trigram palm, and Qing Yi Quan, which is 5 element fists. Sun style is a combination style, we would say. That's the historical accounts of the various styles that are offered. There is also some other styles of Tai Chi that are put out there publicly, such as Jiao style and Fu. Depending, there's maybe some other family styles also. With that stated then, let's get into the legendary standard of Tai Chi. Legend says that there's this one Taoist monk called Zhang Sanfeng, and he was a literati. He was very well studied in Confucian and Taoist classics, as most literati were back in the day. And one day he was walking up a trail, and he saw that there was this crane and snake fighting each other, going back and forth, when one struck, the other one avoided and evaded. And this fight kept happening for days till either one of them got tired. But the thing is, they never got tired. So he kept watching, and then eventually they just kind of broke apart. He viewed this as the merger of yin and yang. So how you would go forward with yang and receive with the yin and things like this. Hence why it's called the supreme ultimate or the Tai Chi. And from here, he started to do this from a more meditative standpoint, but he also needed to learn the martials of it. So the closest thing he knew was he did train in Shaolin Kung Fu for a little bit. So he started applying Shaolin Kung Fu movements to the new philosophy that he knew, and that was added from those animals. And then he started to base that animal movement with the Shaolin combination movements with an overview of a philosophical structure from a Taoist standpoint, which is yin and yang, the 5 element phases, and the 8 trigrams. All these symbolized in Taoist cosmology. So that's what he used. So when we start looking in terms of a history then, from the 11th, even from the earliest being the 11th to the 13th century, all the way up to 17th century, we have this movement in China called Neo-Confucianism. And Zhang Feng, the creator, legendary origin of Tai Chi, we have a combination of Chan or Zen Buddhism with the Shaolin movements. We have an overall principle of Taoism and how to receive and how to move with the changes. But then we also have this Confucian idea of how to do proper etiquette. How do you receive somebody properly? How do you do something so you don't hurt them? Hence why when you do Tai Chi, though it's a martial art or an internal martial art, the general concept is no harm. So hence why we have pushing or push hands, or we have roll back and things like this. When you're actually doing this push hands, you're actually playing, having fun with somebody. It's non-competitive, which is a Confucian spirit of things. So when we look at Tai Chi then, in comparison to Qigong, knowing that history, we can start looking at the movements physically. Tai Chi generally is a moving form and can be a standing form. And it would incorporate all meridians at some point. Generally when you're doing one Tai Chi movement, you're always incorporating at least multiple meridians. And even visceral or internal massages physically, which is fairly advanced. Whereas in Qigong, we generally break down what it is that you need to do. Are you massaging an organ? Are you visualizing? Are you breathing a certain area? Are you opening a meridian? Are you connecting it to another meridian? Things like this. So Qigong can be generally viewed from its forms for specific purposes. I'm going to open this meridian to connect to this meridian to then do this to the physical body or get this type of state of mind and things like that. Whereas Tai Chi is much more fluid. But given from a Taoist standpoint, everything is fluid, everything is moving, everything is harmonized. It makes sense then. So from then just a movement standpoint, I would say Tai Chi is an advanced Qigong form. And then with its focuses on martial defense, because back in the day, it is historically known that Tai Chi was used by the bodyguards to protect the Empress and Emperor in China back in the day as bodyguards. So we know, and it's verified, that it's been used this way. So we cannot take away that first starting point of it is a martial art. However, generally today it's mostly taught as a health benefactor. But the problem is, I find, with Tai Chi is, though you're getting taught movements and though they may seamlessly move and interact and you're working with all things from a multiple standpoint, there is an issue of how specific can you get with Tai Chi? If you do it enough, you're going to get benefits. However, at the same time, if you're not really focused and you don't really have a theoretical understanding, you're not going to get the best bang for your buck with Tai Chi if you want to, say, advance it to further levels. Whereas in Qigong, right from the get-go, even if you are just doing movements, they are meant for specific purposes. So then you can actually say, well, if I have a lung issue, I'm going to do this movement. If I have, say, back pain, I'm going to do this movement. And though all of them may seem flawless, the intention or the thinking behind it is more health beneficial or longevity based compared to a martial standard. So for more information, go to Toronto Qigong, and I hope you enjoyed this video.